He stared at the blinking cursor for 23 minutes. The message was simple, just asking if his friend wanted to grab coffee. But his mind was running a full FBI investigation on every possible way this could go wrong. And you? You think this is normal. Here's what nobody tells you about overthinking. It's not actually about thinking too much. It's about being trapped in a mental prison that you built yourself, brick by brick, without even realizing it. And the crazy part? Most people who are stuck in this trap think they're just being careful or thoughtful. But I'm going to show you something that'll probably make your stomach drop a little. If you've ever rewritten a text message, stayed awake replaying a conversation, or apologized for things you didn't even do wrong, you're not just overthinking. You're living in survival mode, and your mind is trying to protect you from a danger that doesn't even exist anymore. Look, I get it. Right now you're probably thinking, but I can't help it. My brain just works this way. And honestly, you're partially right. But what if I told you that this mental tornado you're living in isn't actually your fault? It's something that was programmed into you when you were too young to even understand what was happening. What I'm about to share with you isn't just another think positive pep talk. It's the real reason why some people can send a text without overthinking it, while others, maybe you, torture themselves over every word. And more importantly, I'm going to show you the exact moment when everything changes, when that mental noise finally goes quiet. So if you're tired of living in your head, if you're exhausted from constantly second-guessing yourself, and if you're ready to understand why your mind won't give you peace, this is going to be the most important thing you watch today. You smile, you nod, you say, "I'm fine." Meanwhile, inside your head, World War III is raging. You know that feeling when someone takes 30 seconds longer to text you back and your brain immediately starts writing their eulogy for your friendship? When you replay a 2-minute conversation for 2 hours, dissecting every micro-expression like you're a detective solving a murder, that's not sensitivity, that's torture, and you're both the victim and the executioner. Here's what's really happening. You're living two lives. There's the person everyone sees, the one who laughs at jokes, agrees to plans, shows up to work. Then there's the real you, the one drowning in an ocean of what-ifs and did I say something wrong? The real you hasn't had a peaceful moment in years. You check your phone obsessively, not because you want to connect, but because you're terrified of disconnection. You analyze every emoji, like it holds the secrets to national security. A simple K, instead of OK, sends you into a spiral that would make NASA jealous. But here's the part that'll make your blood run cold. You're not just overthinking. You're self-harming with your thoughts. Every time you assume the worst, you're cutting yourself with your mind. Every time you imagine rejection before it happens, you're choosing pain over peace. Every time you prepare for abandonment, you're abandoning yourself first. You've turned your brain into a weapon of mass destruction, and you're the only target. The cruelest part? You think this makes you a good person. You think this mental torture proves you care. You've convinced yourself that suffering equals love, that anxiety equals preparation, that destroying yourself mentally somehow protects the people around you. But while you're busy having panic attacks over punctuation marks, the people you're worried about aren't even thinking about you. They're living. They're breathing. They're existing without carrying the weight of every possible catastrophe on their shoulders. You're suffering in silence for people who aren't even aware there's a war happening. And the most devastating truth? This isn't love. It's not care. It's not protection. It's self-destruction disguised as virtue. Your mind has become a hostage negotiator talking to terrorists that don't exist, making deals with threats that were never real, surrendering pieces of your peace for safety that was never in danger. The question you need to ask yourself isn't how do I stop overthinking? It's why am I so afraid of my own peace? You weren't born this way. Some adult destroyed your peace when you were too small to fight back. Maybe it was a parent who made love conditional on performance. Maybe it was a teacher who made you feel stupid for asking questions. Maybe it was a sibling who made you compete for scraps of attention like a starving animal. But somewhere, Someone taught you that your natural state, your authentic self, wasn't good enough, and you believe them. Here's the brutal truth. Your overthinking isn't a personality trait. It's a trauma response. Your mind learned to scan for danger because danger was real. Your brain developed hypervigilance because someone made you feel unsafe for just existing. You were a child trying to solve an impossible equation. How do I be myself and still be loved? The answer you came up with was devastating. I'll stop being myself. So you learned to read faces like a survival manual. You memorized the exact tone that meant approval and the micro-expression that meant you were in trouble. You became a human mood detector because your safety depended on other people's emotions. You turned yourself into a chameleon because being authentic was too dangerous. That little kid inside you is still running the same program, still scanning, still analyzing, still trying to be perfect enough to earn love that should have been given freely. Your overthinking brain isn't broken, it's loyal. It's still protecting that terrified child who learned that making mistakes meant losing love. It's still trying to prevent the abandonment that felt like death when you were 7 years old. But here's what nobody told you. You're not 7 anymore. The people who taught you to fear your own voice, they're either gone, powerless, or dealing with their own demons. The adults who made you feel like you had to earn your place in the world, most of them were just broken children in grown-up bodies, passing down their own trauma like a poisoned inheritance. You've been carrying their wounds as if they were your own. You've been solving their problems with your pain. You've been living their programming while calling it your personality. The voice in your head that never stops criticizing, that's not your voice. Those standards that are impossible to meet, those aren't your standards. That fear of not being enough, that's not your fear. You inherited a mental virus, and you've been letting it run your life. But every virus has an antidote. Every program can be rewritten. The question is, are you ready to delete the code that's been destroying you? You've become a master actor in a play nobody asked you to perform. Every morning you put on the mask, the I'm fine mask, the everything's under control mask. You've perfected the art of emotional camouflage. Someone asks how you're doing and you say great while your mind is screaming. You laugh at jokes that aren't funny. You agree with opinions that make your soul revolt. You've become so good at pretending to be okay that you've forgotten what okay actually feels like. But here's the sickening truth. While you're performing for everyone else, you're disappearing. Every time you swallow your real thoughts to keep the peace, you swallow a piece of yourself. Every time you smile when you want to cry, you teach the world that your feelings don't matter. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you become a stranger to your own desires. You've turned yourself into a human vending machine, always dispensing what others want, never asking what you need. The most tragic part? You think this makes you noble. You think this self-erasure proves you're a good person. You've convinced yourself that martyrdom is virtue, that suffering in silence is strength, that making yourself smaller makes others bigger. But while you're busy being everyone's emotional support system, who's supporting you? While you're solving everyone else's problems, who's solving yours? While you're bending over backwards to make others comfortable, who's making sure you can still stand up straight? Nobody, because you taught them not to. You've trained the world to see you as endlessly giving and never needing. You've become so reliable in your self-sacrifice that people forget you're human. They forget you have breaking points. They forget you bleed. And when you finally crack, when the mask slips and the real you bleeds through, they're shocked. They're uncomfortable. They want the old you back, the convenient you, the you that never asked for anything. That's when you realize the most devastating truth of all. You've been loving people who only love your performance. They don't know the real you because you've never let them meet you. So here's the question that's going to haunt you. How long can you keep saving everyone else while you're drowning? How long can you keep being the hero in everyone else's story while you're the villain in your own? The spell breaks the moment you get tired of your own bullshit. It happens in a single second. Maybe you're staring at your phone, rewriting the same message for the 15th time. Maybe you're lying awake at 3 a.m., torturing yourself over something you said 6 months ago. Maybe you're apologizing for the 1,000th time for something that isn't even your fault. And suddenly something inside you snaps, not breaks, snaps, like a bone setting back into place. You look at yourself, really look, and you see what you've become. A ghost haunting your own life. A prisoner in a cell with no walls. A slave to thoughts that aren't even real. And you get angry. Not sad, not disappointed. Angry. You realize you've been robbed. Someone stole your peace and convinced you to guard the crime scene. Someone murdered your authenticity and made you bury the body. Someone hijacked your mind and made you pay rent to live in your own head. This is your fuck this moment. This is when you stop negotiating with terrorists in your brain. This is when you stop treating your thoughts like gospel and start treating them like spam mail. This is when you realize that the voice telling you you're not enough isn't wise, it's a liar. And liars don't deserve your attention. The most powerful realization hits you like lightning. You don't have to think every thought that enters your mind. You don't have to believe every fear that whispers in your ear. You don't have to carry every worry like it's precious cargo. Your thoughts are not your master, they're your employee. And it's time to fire the ones that aren't serving you. You start to understand that peace isn't something you earn through perfection. Peace is your natural state. It's what's left when you stop fighting wars that don't exist. You begin to see that the person you've been trying so hard to become already lives inside you. They've been buried under layers of fear and programming and other people's expectations, but they're still there, still breathing, still waiting. The spell isn't broken by doing more. It's broken by doing less. Less performing, less pretending, less apologizing for taking up space. You don't need to be fixed because you were never broken. You just forgot who you were before the world taught you to be afraid. And now you remember. Here's what nobody tells you about freedom. It doesn't feel like victory. It feels like coming home. When you finally stop carrying the weight of everyone else's emotions, your shoulders don't just relax. They remember what they were built for. When you stop apologizing for existing, you don't just speak up. You remember your voice was never meant to whisper. This is what the other side looks like. You send the text without rewriting it because you trust that your authentic words are enough. You sleep at night because you're not responsible for fixing every broken thing in the world. You say no without a paragraph of justification because your boundaries aren't up for negotiation. The old you lived in fear of being misunderstood. The real you knows that being misunderstood is better than being unknown. The old you needed permission to feel. The real you gives yourself permission to be human. The old you tried to control outcomes. The real you controls your responses. This isn't about becoming someone new. This is about remembering who you were before trauma taught you to be small, before criticism taught you to be perfect, before abandonment taught you to be invisible. You were born whole. You were born enough. You were born worthy of love without conditions, peace without performance, acceptance without auditions. That person is still in there, under the layers of fear and programming and other people's expectations, under the masks and the people-pleasing and the constant mental torture. They're waiting. They've been waiting your whole life for you to come back home to yourself. Your mind isn't broken. It's just tired of screaming for your own love. Your heart isn't damaged. It's just tired of beating for everyone except you. Your soul isn't lost. It's just tired of hiding behind who you thought you needed to be. The lightness you're searching for isn't something you need to create. It's something you need to uncover. It's been there all along, buried under the weight of a world that taught you to carry burdens that were never yours. Stop carrying what doesn't belong to you. Stop fixing what you didn't break. Stop apologizing for taking up space in a universe that made room for you before you were even born. You are not too much. You are not too sensitive. You are not too anything. You are exactly who you were meant to be. And that's more than enough. That's everything.